We are back. We're going to be talking about some things, and yeah, they're going to be important things over the next several months. We are covering Venus, but don't shoot the messenger, okay? It's going to be good in so many ways, but it's also going to be quite shocking, all right? It's going to be shocking. There's a lot that is going to be coming up with this Venus transit. This Venus retrograde is bringing up quite the storm. It is going to be a little bit of a shitstorm. In relationships, of course. Relationships and dynamics with money, dynamics with wanting to be seen, stuff like that is going to be coming up. We are going to be covering why this stuff is coming up, a little bit of dates. I'm not going to go into all the very specifics of the transit, but we are going to cover the numerology of this Venus and why this is so important. And then at the very end, I'm going to go and give you guys predictions for each of the signs. If you have any questions at all, I will look at the very end of this live to see what kind of questions you had, and then we're going to cover that. Let's dive into it. Okay, so this particular Venus retrograde is going to bring up a lot of things or a lot of stuff that had to do with this very long Mars and Gemini transit. I want to go back into the past a little bit. Scorpio was the South Node in Scorpio when Mars entered. This was around August of 2022. That's when Mars entered Gemini. And during that time, the South Node in Scorpio was moving through a very specific Venus-related degree. This Venus-related degree activated a chain of events that were happening behind the scenes, okay? Because the South Node was in Scorpio, or is in Scorpio still, we're finishing this up. Actions related to addiction, actions related to abuse of power, crossing boundaries. We always want to think about boundaries with Scorpio. Issues related to harassment that were happening behind the scenes during that time, and doing things in secret that somehow create a sense of urgency to deal with as time is moving on now with this particular Venus retrograde that we are going to be diving into. The issues will have to be dealt with from whatever was created during that time behind the scenes now. So relationship dynamics or things that were happening amongst relationships that were out of character, all right, to the topics that I mentioned earlier. The things that, I said was like crossing boundaries, okay? Some kind of harassment, some kind of, abuse of power, some kind of addictive behavior. And addiction, a lot of things can fall under that. It's going to be different for everybody. Venus, all right, had not a whole lot of control over relationships during that time, or we felt like we were losing control during that time relationship-wise, so we acted out of character. Now, moving forward into, 2023, Venus then started moving again in and out of bound April through June. So now we're in that period, okay? So we are going to see people again acting in a really strange or bizarre way, especially in relationships, because things are coming up to the surface. Why are they coming up to the surface? Because during this period, when Venus is in Leo, from now until pretty much October, we are going to be observing things with people that are going to be a bit strange, but everything that you need to know will come up to the surface, because during this time, Venus will make squares to Jupiter and squares to Uranus. And these squares are not just easy squares. The degrees at which these squares are happening at, it will push growth. It will push some kind of change. And this change comes with closing out chapters, but in a shocking way. And it will also come with some kind of upgrades. Again, it's going to be different for everybody. We're going to dive into every single one of the signs. Give me some hearts if you're experiencing any of this right now, or if you've started experiencing any of this, if you're noticing this in your chart, or let me know where you're tuning in from if you're live. That always, helps me out. I like knowing where you guys are from. All right. So what does this all mean? Let's kind of dive into some of the downsides. Let's start with that, okay? The downside of this Venus in Leo transit is going to be that whatever was happening behind the scenes, that's going to get pushed out. Whatever was happening below the surface, you're going to find out, because whatever was being created during that Mars in Gemini transit, it was happening, some of that stuff was happening in secrecy. Okay? What type of relationship vibes? The downside. We're talking about the downside right now, okay? We're also going to talk about the upside, because every transit comes with both. Always comes with both. There's different layers to all of it. The downside is that this Venus in Leo transit is going to push out vibes that are diabolical, all right? You are going to find that people are going to show a very evil side of themselves, where they're just full of themselves. They're out of touch somehow with what they did, or they're not able to speak the truth. They're constantly lying. There's constant deception. They're disregarding other people's feelings. And if they hurt them, they're not able to acknowledge it. Do I need to say more? All right, that's the downside of this. We always want to take a look at the entire chart. It's not just a Venus in Leo transit, it's with everything that is happening in the chart. Now, the upside of this transit is that we will learn something so incredibly valuable about relationships, loyalty, trust, being able to count on support that will stay with us for the rest of our lives. We're going to change the way in which we're looking at relationships completely during this particular Venus in Leo transit, because of the way that Venus is going to be moving, the degrees that Venus is going to be moving in and out of. This is going to be a time where you get this opportunity to change the way in which you view your relationships, and any kind of patterns that you are so tired of within relationships. You have this opportunity right now to release that, to break free, to liberate. Why? Because Venus is going to be making those squares to Uranus, and Uranus liberates Venus. Uranus shows up and says, hey, I get it. You don't want to be in a situation anymore. So here's an opportunity for you. You can up level, but it's going to require for you to deal with the shocking that comes with that, or with some kind of a new way in which you're going to have to do things, but they're so different. All right. There is a little dose of courage here that needs to come in, and you might need to explore different ways or new ways in which you're going to become resourceful also, because of the, South Node and North Node axis that we're in, Taurus, Scorpio, right? There are some dependencies that we're dealing with right now within relationships. And we thought maybe we needed certain people because they also come with some kind of agreement, or they're providing some particular aspect. We think that we're addicted to it. And so there's that. Now, we're breaking free also from anything that makes us feel less than. What is that though? Well, Venus in Leo can point out jealousy. Venus in Leo can point out also some kind of betrayal during this time that is related, because of the degrees that it's going to be hitting up Uranus and Jupiter. It's related to some kind of money, some kind of manipulation. It is a change in relationship dynamics. The most important transits you want to pay attention to are going to be in August with Venus, because in August is what I'm seeing when I'm looking at the charts. That particular transit that Venus is going to be making, those are going to be the most profound during this particular one. So let's dive a little bit more into Venus. If you know nothing about Venus, what is Venus all about? You hear very often, Venus is about love. And it's true, okay? Depends on where Venus is at. Venus is not always just about love. Happiness, your baseline happiness. Venus is about that. The energy quality in your relationships, or the type of relationships that you like. You know, what makes you vibe in relationships? What are you attracted to? What are you pulling towards yourself? Those are the types of things that become very important with Venus, right? If you want to take a look at your own Venus, you know, placement. Now with Venus in Leo, we're going to talk about the types of vibes, because everybody is going to have this Venus Leo transit in a different aspect of their houses. So now what else? Venus is all about having fun, okay? Feeling good, creating a certain type of environment about yourself that feels like you're partying, especially with Venus in Leo. Depends on what type of party, okay? But Venus in Leo definitely likes to have a very big type of feel. So shopping for specific things, that can be Venus. Beauty, art, entertainment, food, taking things in, receiving mode, right? How do you take things in? How do you let things come to you? You know, are you more stoic? What is it? How do you receive things? Venus defines that. Venus is a planet that sees the end goal. This is really important, okay? Venus is a planet that operates at the end goal. You know, it's very different than other planets, because that is where the pleasure is at, right? We don't just like strategize to get somewhere. Venus is a planet that has a characteristic where we've already met the end goal. Like, we're at the pool party enjoying ourselves. We are, you know, already in that vibe of the thing that we just bought, and there's a certain value that we get from it. Venus operates at that end goal in mind, receiving and enjoying, okay? The giving and taking. That is the kind of vibe we're taking a look at with Venus. So over the next 4 months, Venus is going to be in Leo. And this is where all of the action is, I believe, where it's going to happen, okay, in the chart. There's a lot of change that is going to happen here that might not be easy, or you might find yourself a little bit less flexible, because it is a fixed sign. Leo is a fixed fire sign. And of course, you know, we are going to be tested here with our flexibility to change. Now, Venus not only entered Leo, where it is going to be at its, you know, dignity. Venus likes to be in Leo. So that is the plus side. That's the upside of all of this. It loves to be in Leo, you know. And so that retrograde is going to be happening as well while this is happening. So this particular phase is happening from October 5th until about June 5th until about October 7th. Okay, that's how long this transit is going to be. And that is why we're going to be talking about all of this today. Give me some hearts, or let me know where you're from, because I know we're live. So I want to know where you guys are from, where you're tuning in from. What do you know about Venus in Leo? Drop it in the comments, okay? Let me know. Let's talk about what I think the ultimate outcome is going to be during this transit. Again, the whole upside is going to be that we are going to be in a place where we're learning quite a bit. Now, because of what it is that we're learning in our relationships, there is going to be a whole new passion that is being ignited out of what it is that we're learning. Why am I saying learning? Because the learning word here is going to be really important. We are changing our beliefs about relationships and what we've known about relationships, because Venus goes all the way up to 28 and comes all the way back to 12 when it's retrograding, and then it's going to be moving forward. Let's talk about the 12th degree first, the ultimate outcome. You know, we're realizing the type of relationship or the vibe that we really want from what it is that we find out during this particular transit. And that is going to be really important, okay? What does our heart really want? You know, this Venus is going to be ready to move on from situations where we didn't realize how much we, you know, believe without checking the integrity of the situation. This is going to be so key, so important. All right, because we are trying to bring the fun back into our lives. I don't know about you guys, but I know that is something I'm definitely working on in my life right now. I have my Venus in Leo, and it is at an erratic degree. If you know anything about astrology, you know what I'm talking about, you know. So this is a really interesting time in the sense that I know for me, I'm trying to bring the fun back into my life. You know, there's something that is sort of feels very serious at times. And I feel like for a while, I want to say since 2020, things have felt a little bit serious. What about you? Is it feeling that way for you? I am noticing amongst across different areas and different observations that I'm making in different communities, different groups that I'm in, that is something that people are wanting more of in their life, you know, bringing some ease back into their life, restoring some respect towards, you know, things that they love. And maybe there wasn't enough of an emphasis on that. And I believe that during this Venus in Leo transit, we are going to dive into that. We are going to bring more of that back into our life because it's missing and we want more of it. And why not? Right? So the downside of the ultimate outcome of this transit can be that in relationships, we realize that we have made hard investments. We invested into people. We felt a deep connection to, we loved them. There was a loyalty. All right. But that loyalty is being questioned and it's coming now to the stage. It's coming now to the forefront, into your periphery. There is some kind of loyalty that is being questioned here. And I think that this Venus is going to be quickly confident to overcome these themes. There could also be themes of competitiveness because it's Leo. There can be themes of competitiveness that come up, or people doing things out of a place because they felt competitive. They wanted somehow some other thing, something that felt shiny, something that they were going after. And you realize now that is sort of like the thing that was driving them. But at the time you didn't realize it. And how could you? Those are the types of things that could come up. Okay, the downside of it. You could also realize that somebody had an addiction, a deep addiction to something, because the South Node is in Scorpio. Let's not forget about that. And because of that, what you're observing in someone is that somehow, you know, they felt that comfortable enough to do things that actually crossed the boundary, and you find out now. And so this is the downside of this, all right? It's about egos clashing. It's about confronting people with big egos, confronting people who are somehow self-centered. And so what you'll notice, or what you might even observe in some other people's lives, or in some stories, or some part of what, you know, you will be maybe experiencing, is some people will come out of this Venus Leo, you know, transit with their egos being bruised, because there is sort of a reality check that is happening, because Uranus comes in and just shakes things up, you know, takes someone from whatever, you know, they were standing on that wasn't solid right back down. And so that is another thing, a deep realization. If love is really present in your relationships, is this something that is the commitment, the ultimate commitment between you and somebody else? And it doesn't have to be just romantic. It can be any kind of relationship, business partnership, friends, anybody, all right? Is love the ultimate thing that is connecting somehow this relationship? Is there a deep respect? Is there an appreciation? These are the types of things we're going to be processing in the background. It's like a really amazing transit, actually, because I don't know about you, but sometimes we have to take inventory of our relationships, right? How are things going? We have to work out those themes. We have to readjust and adapt to what is happening in our life with relationship dynamics. And Uranus is going to be making sure that Venus gets liberated, or at least gets the opportunities to be liberated here, so that you can break free from situations in relationships that were self-centered and maybe came with self-centered actions that you may have not been even aware of, okay? Because of what I said in the very beginning of this live, the out of bounds situation that we were in. Okay, when we take a look at the past, Now, restoring respect is going to be another huge thing that we're going to be working on. Restoring respect. Hey, Steph. Because this could end up being something that people will ultimately kind of want to do. Why am I saying that? Because when Venus retrogrades, it is going to go up until, it's going up all the way until 28 degrees. 28 degrees has to do ultimately with some kind of production, some money that is involved. This can be about matters of investments, management, selling services. 28 is a big degree of producing something. Okay, you are taking someone's service, you're taking someone's money for something that you are providing. So it can be products. You know, some of the relationship dynamics will have conversations or disloyalties around products that you are selling or something that you were taking money in for. And all of a sudden there's this whole thing that comes up that 28, here's what I want you to always remember with the downside of 28. This can be like a con artist, a stealing of money. 28 is that, okay? It's like a business dealing that's not ethical. 28 deals with that. This can be something that can come up during this particular, Venus transit. And it's getting exposed now. Why? Because Venus is making that square to Jupiter, making that square to Uranus, and then bam, we're going to have to deal with that. All right? 28 will have to do with that. So you will observe, because it's a higher degree, you will observe stories like that in the news. You will observe stories like that around you. Okay? You might be also a victim to a story of such a thing. Why am I saying that? Because Venus is not only going to go up all the way to 28, but it's going to go back to 12. 12 is not only about learning, but it's also learning about where you have become a victim to a situation. It's not going to be like that for everyone, right? Again, don't shoot the messenger. I know everybody always wants to have the good news with Venus, but listen, we're going to have to talk about all the layers of how Venus is moving, right? Because Venus is not just going to be Venus and Leo and, oh my gosh, it's going to be such a positive transit. All positive comes also with some kind of a thing, a learning curve that we have to go through. And this one is, I believe, a very dynamic one, a one that promises quite a bit of growth. So that's what we're taking a look at, all right? New opportunities that will come with this particular Venus retrograde. After the retrograde is over, I believe that the course of our relationships change forever, okay? And new starts are coming into our life. And that is ultimately exciting. So, different layers to it. You guys let me know if any of this right now is kind of making sense, or if you feel like it is unfolding in your life. You can give me some hearts if you feel like it might not be true for you too, right? You want to drop it in the comments below, let me know. I already told you that we are now in a growth period, development, a charismatic time. Okay, the other thing that's really interesting is you're going to come across characters right now that will be very bold in nature. But what's so crazy is that some of it will be genuine, but some of it will not be genuine. There might be actually some people that are acting bold in nature, but something feels very, very off, okay? Because of the way in which Venus is going to be transiting, and then the particular moon cycles that Venus is going to be in, the retrograde phase is going to push this out into your periphery. So watch out for that, okay? The other thing is also that this particular Venus in Leo is going to be strong in the sense that if there's any kind of thing that you're trying to bring into your life that is so important, you can develop this time. You can develop this area of your life this time. And it can be as simple as, I just kind of want to have more dinners with my friends, or I want to be able to, enjoy my life and feel more free. And it comes with me just letting go of past hurt. It can be as simple as that, and it can go as big as, bringing some kind of justice to a situation where 28, a production has been dealt with, or an agreement within a relationship has been dealt with, where production has been agreed upon, but the promise of what every party was supposed to do was broken, and then there is an arrogance around it. All right, we have kind of discussed what this Venus is all about. What I'm going to do now is I'm moving through all of the signs, and I'm going to tell you where the Venus is unfolding in your chart. But you also need to pay attention to not only where Venus is unfolding in your chart by your rising sign, but also make sure that you're checking out where the North and South Node is in your chart, because that will give you some kind of themes around that too. But you also want to check Uranus and Jupiter. All right, this is going to be very important. It will be very important to check those transits as well. Okay, so Aries rising. What is happening is that this Venus in Leo is now going to be in your 5th house. What's the 5th house? Creative solutions. All right, creativity, reaching fulfillment through loyalty and purpose. You could also be dealing with themes of willpower, themes of kids, children, pregnancy, okay? Just bringing things into a place where it is like fun. It can also be competitive in nature because it is Leo. And anything in the 5th house can bring some kind of, it can be a friendly competition, okay? It can be a friendly competition. It can bring some kind of competitiveness out. And so you might recognize that you are now having to show up for yourself in a different kind of a way. All right. 3 things that you need to know about this Venus retrograde is in July, you are going to be focusing on partnerships, creating partnerships where you show up in a bigger, bolder way, because some of you might just find that you're fed up with situations right now that bore you, that feel just sort of like there's no energy behind it. So you are energized, or you are inspired to create this kind of a glow up in your relationship dynamics right now, or in partnerships, specific ways in which you want to have fun. And so you're bringing this into your awareness, you're becoming aware of this, and you're wanting to bring more of this into your life. And so this is going to be a focus, I think, for many of you. Now, not only are you wanting to bring this kind of vibe in, but it can also show up for you. You might want to change things in a physical sense, right? In your environment. And what's helping you during this time is to focus on what is not happening and bringing sort of also the past experiences into your periphery. A lot of this is going to get worked out in July for many of you. Your intuition is strongly guiding you to not repeat the things from the past. And this will be the key point for you, Taurus and Taurus rising. This is going to be unfolding in your 4th house. What's the 4th house? It's our emotional well-being. Since our upbringing, it's home and family. These are the types of things that you're taking a look at with the 4th house. All right. Now, the 4th house is going to bring you 3 very specific things into your life. The first thing is going to be in July. You will feel you'll want to spend some time alone. In some parts, you're going to feel like you want to pull back a little bit, okay? Or you want to be with people who create a lot of peace and ease around you. It's because of everything that's happening outside of you. There's going to be a lot that's going to be happening, all right, that you are going to observe. And so naturally, a part of you is going to be like, because it's your planet, it's Venus, you're going to feel like, okay, I want to spend some time away from all of this drama. I need to recover. So you could be spending time with family, with parents, with, sisters, with aunts, with people that you feel very supportive and loved around, but it also creates this kind of vibe where it's peaceful and it's not something that, it's hard to deal with or hard to be around these people. The other thing is that you are going to have very specific thoughts and ideas as you pull inward a little bit more. You're able to emotionally process things for yourself a little bit more. You're able to kind of create a little bit of space, okay, emotionally go through things. And that is going to open you up to new thoughts, specific thoughts and specific ideas that will come to you that are going to be new, that will come also with events. These thoughts will be attached to events that will either be created by you or that you will go to. Okay, Venus here is going to show you that you are going to have to wait a little bit. You're going to have to wait a little bit. The timing is going to feel off, and you will have to kind of work out the details before you can dive into this event, this project, this goal, this idea. All right, it is best to take time for yourself and really expand the plans around all of this. And that's what Venus is kind of slowing down here, right? The retrograde is going to be happening in July, or it starts in July, and really understanding what your plans are, taking your time is going to be super important. Okay. I would say that a lot of you are going to be picking up that you are moving into a time where career advancements might come up. All right. This is going to be really just like key, because it's not only the 4th house that you're taking a look at, but the opposite as well, which is the 10th house, the house of career. So you might notice that there is going to be some kind of career advancement or some kind of promotion that you kind of sense is going to be around the corner. And so all of these things will tie into what I just said. So there's a sense of preparation or a sense of holding back. It's not the right timing yet. All right, let's move on to Gemini. Gemini rising. Wow. Well, this is happening in your mindset world. Okay, the 3rd house. I'm going to make sure that I am on point. Sometimes, you guys, I forget where I'm at. And that is exactly what just happened. Because, you know, my head is filled with all these transits. So sometimes I'm like, yes, it is happening in your 3rd house. I just needed to make sure, check the chart. Also, if you're new in the chat, if you're here for the first time, let me know where you're tuning in from. And if any of this is resonating with you, give me some hearts. You know, let me know. I always want to hear from you guys. So, all right. So, Gemini rising, your mindset is going to change a lot. You're going to learn a lot about people through conversations. You're going to learn a lot about the way in which you think. And 3 things you need to know about this Venus retrograde is in July: partnerships, new allies, and growth connections. This is going to be huge because there are going to be some connections that you're making in July that will give you life. They will give you energy, because these connections are going to be so incredible. They inspire you. You know, they say things to you that you already knew all along, but here's another human being. And so you're processing what you already knew within yourself, but it gets reignited by conversations or connections with people that are new. Okay, these are new people. There's some kind of growth connected to this as well, which I think is going to be a very welcomed energy, because that Leo reignites some kind of passion, right? And it starts with the way in which you're going to be talking to yourself and validating in the way in which you've been thinking, which is huge. Cancer, this is happening in your 2nd house. And that's the house of money, productivity, self-worth. It's the house where sometimes we're also dealing with, okay, how am I going to provide for myself, okay? Or the definition of providing, or, you know, creating a little bit more of an income. The 3 things you need to know about this Venus retrograde is that in July, you are going to be thinking a lot about loyalty, trust, situations that support you. Those are the types of things that I believe that are going to be coming here with the 2nd house. You're going to learn so much about this month, about people, life, and just in general, like having specific experiences here with people that'll teach you a lot about what the next steps are that you need to take. Okay, that observation in and of itself is going to be huge here. This is happening in your first house. So the first house is the self. Who am I? What am I up to? All right. Questions about your vitality also. Questions about who you are and the journey that you're on. And 3 things that you need to know about this Venus retrograde is that in July, you are going to be experiencing divine timing, okay? You know how sometimes like things unfold in a very specific like timing or a timeline? That is what I believe that July is going to bring into your life, because you're going to be focusing on very important goals during this time as well. They are going to be coming up. Things that you felt very stuck about. And this will tie into relationship agreements. This will tie into business partnerships that you've had. Agreements, okay? Written agreements that you may have had in relationship dynamics. And so they really kept you in a negative place. And so you are wanting to come out of this negative place. And in order for you to come out of this negative place, okay, you are going to be in a place where you want to find a resolution. And this resolution is starting to unfold in July. Naturally, your energy is going to start to open up a little bit more. All right. But it's not quite go time yet. It is just where things are starting to unfold, where things are starting to open up for you a little bit more. Virgo rising right now, okay? So this Venus transit is going to be happening in your 12th house. What's the 12th house? The 12th house is the house of spirituality. It's the meaning of life. Oftentimes this can deal also with subconscious things, right? That are coming up to your consciousness that you get the opportunity to work on. And it can have to do with insecurities or some kind of fears that you may have. And so this Venus in Leo transit and this retrograde phase is going to deal with patterns that come up that need time to process. So 3 things that you will need to know with this Venus in Leo transit, okay? Masks are falling in July. You are going to find out so much about so many lies in July. It is going to actually blow your mind, all right? You are going to find out a lot, things that have been happening. This is also going to be reminding you of a very specific pattern about yourself. And this pattern has a lot to do where you buy into those lies and then they influence you. Somehow they impact you. That is something that you're going to be processing during this time. Now, the other thing that I think that a lot of you are going to realize is how many people actually get away with these lies, the type of stories that they create. Now, some of it will also relate to some kind of mental state that the person is in that you didn't realize. And so this is another thing that you're going to be processing, that you are now finally beginning to understand somebody else's subconscious while you're processing your own, which is really interesting. And this is where you get the opportunity to kind of, restore some kind of life back. Okay. The other thing that I think for a lot of you, what is happening is that you're kind of redirecting your life and energy overall. Okay. Look at this particular transit as an increase in energy by you just processing what is coming into your life at this time. Okay. You are going to basically work out a lot internally. Venus is going to be in the 11th house for all Libra risings. Social reputation, friends, communities, places that you belong to. Okay. Who are my people? Your social life. So 3 things you need to know about this Venus retrograde is July is bringing an exciting opportunity is going to be that you finally are being recognized for things that are really, really important in your life, that also kind of put you into the spotlight somehow, or, it's like an exciting stage, exciting new phase in your life. This opportunity will feel more supportive, more rewarding. It is going to be promoting some sort of, financial reward in your life. And also emotionally, you're going to feel like, okay, I'm able to kind of emotionally be rewarded here too for what it is that I'm very good at. Okay. So now we're going to move to Scorpio. Scorpio, this is going to be happening in your career house. Career is very important. Now, 3 things you need to know about this Venus retrograde is In July, you will feel like you want change. It's kind of coming to you ahead of time, this feeling that you want change. But then it comes in a surprising way, all right? Stuff that's going to be unfolding, it's going to come in a very surprising way. There are a couple of people who are going to show you how to step out of your comfort zone during this time. And they're going to bring the best out of you, all right? July is going to be like one of those months where it's like mind-blowing in all of the right ways. But it's bringing out a side of you that you may have not maybe necessarily tapped into. And it's happening through the support of others. All right, Sagittarius, this is going to be unfolding in your 9th house. The 9th house of beliefs, philosophy, religion, maybe a long journey that you're wanting to take on, right? You're wanting to travel somewhere. Maybe you need to learn something. And that is what is becoming really important here. So what the 3 things are that are really important for you to know during this time is, the first thing is July is going to be a very special experience. There is going to be a challenge here. And this challenge will have to do with making you a lot more stronger, impacting you in a way where you feel a lot more stronger, a lot more confident, all right? There are certain events that are unfolding that will have a little bit of this feels like a deja vu type of moment. Feels like a deja vu, feels like I've been here before, feels like I've done this thing before, which is really interesting, okay? That is what I'm seeing for many of you. The other thing that I think is very important is that you're not necessarily maybe going to be in the mood to start something new. I also would not recommend maybe starting something new, just because in July Venus is going to be retrograding, so maybe wait, okay? It's not always possible, but definitely July has a little bit of a bizarre kind of vibe, deja vu vibes, all right, for you. It is going to be sort of a time, I think, that you are working a lot of things out in your day-to-day. Because that Venus retrograde is also going to be working together, not only in the 9th house, but also with the 3rd house. So the daily activities are kind of increasing. You're handling quite a bit during this time, all right? And so I think that the more that you can observe this month, the more you're going to be able to make a better decision for yourself. And you will know what I'm talking about when the month starts to come to an end. The end of July, you will start to realize, okay, I have to make like decisions for myself. And these decisions will be better made if you are observing and just kind of taking in as much as possible, learning as much as possible from all the experiences that you're making, because there can be situations here that are kind of going to be specific, okay? One specific experience that you're going to have that will be important for confidence is going to be that you're going to have a conversation with someone that is a friend, someone that's close to you, and they're going to ask you a very specific question. And this question is going to teach you a lot about yourself. It's going to teach you a lot about yourself. It's going to shock you a little bit. Might not be something that you're expecting, but they are going to be asking you something and you're going to have to deal with it. You're dealing with it in the moment. And you are going to learn a lot about yourself and stuff that you're going to have to work on yourself because of this specific question, okay? It's going to be how to make a more positive impact, how to stay more positive in your life, how to use your mindset in a more positive way. Those are the types of things that I believe that you're going to be taking a look at when this Venus retrograde is kind of unfolding during this time, okay? So that's just July. All right, let's move on to Capricorn. Wow, Capricorn, huge time for you, all right? This is going to be happening in your 8th house. This is the house where you feel that you have some kind of commitments and loyalties to certain aspects, certain people, certain things in your life. And you feel like you want to release yourself from this kind of karmic pattern right now. And so the 3 things that you need to know about this Venus retrograde is in July, this is like a big month, okay? Because not long ago, you made this decision to start some kind of a new project, to start something new. And that gave you kind of a platform, a voice. And this has reignited the fire within, all right? And you will feel, though, throughout this month that you do not know how some of the efforts that you're putting in, how they're actually going to turn out, which is totally fine because you are kind of learning how to trust this process right now, how to trust yourself in kind of a new way, all right? And this very thing that you're doing is also teaching you about something you don't like about yourself. And that thing that you don't like about yourself is actually the very thing that is going to be helping you. And that is going to be the big epiphany in July. Now, the other thing is going to be that you are going to be working out, just a specific thing here with someone where you feel like that you have to work some kind of a thing out with another person, and it might actually kind of rub up against trust issues. So during this time, you are going to be coming across something where, okay, it is rubbing up against your trust issues. You are trying to figure out maybe how to become more confident in this area. And so the process of this is going to begin in July. Things are going to work out a lot better than what you expect them. Just keep going, okay? Whatever it is that's coming into your periphery at this time, it is really just to deepen your trust with yourself and to realize what kind of commitments you want to get involved in and what kind of commitments you don't want to get involved in, okay? All right, Aquarius. Aquarius, this is happening in your 7th house. The 7th house brings interpersonal relationships, okay? It can also sometimes bring moral and ethical topics up in partnerships, but you are right now going to be working on, relationships quite a bit and how relationships impact you. And so the 3 things you need to know about this particular Venus retrograde and this Venus transit overall in July, you are making a complete turnaround in energies. All right, a complete turnaround in energies. This is about love, and this is going to be about relationships. You are going to reignite your passion and your love with someone. Okay, if it's not romantic, then it's going to be a passion that is reignited, but there is another person that is involved in this. Okay, and it is absolutely blowing your mind. All right, there's a deep level of appreciation that is coming with this, and I think that you are going to honestly just be in this place where you're just mind blown that this is unfolding in your life at this time, okay? You may have never actually had this experience with this person before, which is another very interesting thing that I think is going to be unfolding in July for you, because this Venus is so Uranian, there's so much Uranus flavor in this Venus transit that I think you're going to be like, wow, I've never really had this experience before. So it's like an up leveling here that is coming with this. Okay, so Pisces and Pisces rising. Where is this Venus unfolding for you? It is in your 6th house. I call the 6th house the obstacle course. Many times the 6th house has a lot to do with our daily routines. Okay, there's challenges in the 6th house that we have to navigate from the moment that we, wake up until we go to bed. Now, what are some of those challenges? Well, they can have to do with our lifestyle choices. All right, the meaning of things with the lifestyle that we are choosing. And so 3 things that you need to know about this particular, Venus transit is that in July, you are turning things around this month. All right. What are the things that you're turning around? Venus brings ultimate support. All right. The support comes through other people. Somebody is going to be helping you here with a commitment that you've had on the day-to-day. It's an annoying commitment maybe, and it brings sort of a new resolution. The situation brings a new resolution. There's hope behind it. You feel like, okay, I'm ready to let this thing go. I'm ready to kind of, get over this and past this. And so you are letting go some kind of a sadness with this too, and some kind of a grief that it gave you. That is July. That's all I got right now. We are going to be talking more about this Venus, transit, Venus retrograde transit. Thank you so much for watching, you guys. And if you have any questions, you can always drop them in the comments below, and I'm going to see you soon, okay? Bye.